And welcome to the One Broadway Collaborative Podcast. I'm Aaron Tornberg, and I'm here today with Chris LaVancher. That is how you pronounce it, correct?
It is, yeah, you got it right.
Yeah, I thought so, but I didn't want to, be wrong and just call you that for the rest of the show.
And I'd let you do that.
I know, because you're a nice guy, so you wouldn't want to embarrass me. But, yeah, I figure we'll get that out of the way, make sure. And so we're here with Chris in One Broadway, which is at One Broadway in Lawrence, Massachusetts. And Chris actually played here as one of the songwriters in the round about a week ago, a little over a week ago.
Yeah.
And he played with Esther Friedman and
Janet Feld.
Yeah, Esther Friedman is...
Oh, I'm being led on. Esther Friedman is my lovely wife.
Yes.
And much, much, much better half.
Okay. And Esther might be on the show, too. She just sent me an email. So
nice.
Eventually. And Janet Feld, who was fantastic and is one of the guitar teachers at Club Passim, I understand.
Yeah,
so,
for many, many, many years.
Yeah, she's great. And she did a great job. You all did a great job, and I really love your new album. So
Thank you.
When did the album get finished? I know it hasn't officially released,
Yes.
but when did it get finished?
It's been finished for about 2 months, actually. But it took, some time to get into, the actual pressing of the CDs and that kind of stuff. And sent it out to radio about 2 weeks ago. So it's pretty much in radio hands now and starting to get some airplay. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, I saw, and it's I've been listening to it. It's a great CD.
Thank you.
I heard some of the songs live, and so I was excited to get a copy of them because I really liked the opening song. I forget the name, but the baseball one.
Yeah. Pick Up Baseball.
Pick Up Baseball. That reminded me of a Peter, Paul, and Mary song called Right Field, which really appealed to me because I was the right fielder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, left field gets mentioned in this one.
Right. Which is, you hit more out to left field.
Do
There's
you?
more.
See, I'm not much of a baseball guy, so it's like most of my songs I totally make up, so I often have, the intention was to be this poor kid out and, getting no action out there, but.
Right. And that's what it reminded me of, and I love those kinds of songs. Because it appeals to the non-sports people.
Yeah.
Like us.
Yeah, exactly.
Or me, anyway. I don't know if you play that much, but...
well, only as a kid,
right.
And pretty much, I did play a little bit of minor league. It wasn't even Little League. It was before Little League.
Mm-hmm.
And then pick up, just in the neighborhood. So, which I don't know as kids do that now.
My son doesn't, but I know there are kids that do. But he's not real big into sports either. But I know he has friends who play. But pickup games, it's COVID. Nobody's doing that.
Right, certainly now, yeah.
And that's unfortunate because it really evokes some memories with that song. And those memories aren't being made at the moment, which is sad.
Yeah.
Because I remember I was playing softball when I was like, my son's age, about 10, 11. And I was terrible. I mean, like I said, I played right field. The ball occasionally came out to me. Usually I didn't get it.
Yeah.
But then there was the one time in extra innings, and I did get it, and everybody lifted me on their shoulders.
Yes.
And I get to keep the softball that we had. It was softball. And
wow.
I kept that softball for like 10 years.
That is awesome. That's like a Hollywood, occurrence.
Right, exactly.
You live that in real life. That's very cool.
It was cool. And all the other kids were like lifting me on their, and the reason was because they didn't expect me to catch it.
Right.
But I did. And it was awesome. And it was extra innings, so we were all like, when is this going to be over? We all wanted to go home. It was hot,
Oh, yes, exactly. Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm glad that evoked all of those memories.
Yeah.
Too. I am not even in tune for that song. Maybe we could
We could play it.
On that
Well, do you want to play
there?
it now? Sure.
Yeah, well, since we're talking about it.
All right, so this is a song called Pick Up Baseball by Chris LaVancher, and this is going to be available when?
This will be available on all the streaming stuff and like public stuff November 24th, which is the day before Thanksgiving, which is also the day of the release show at Club Passim.
Which is the day after my birthday. So.
Oh, well, yeah. So it's a celebration of a lot of things.
I should come to Club Passim and celebrate my birthday.
You should.
That'd be great.
As well as, like 100 of your friends.
Is that, and the Lied Twos are playing with you, correct?
The Lied Twos are also releasing a new CD that night. So it's going to be a big night. So I expect we'll have a good crowd.
And you get tickets at Club Passim. Passim.org, I think.
Passim.org,
yeah.
Yep. At least, if you Google Club Passim.
Right, and that's Cambridge. That's in Cambridge, in Harvard Square, right.
Yeah.
I used to hang out there quite a bit, but Club Passim is historic for those of you who've never been, and you should check it out, especially with such great people playing on the 24th of November.
Indeed.
So let's play Pick Up Baseball. Not literally, but let's play the song Pick Up Baseball. And, you can all see what you think. Here we go.
Skipping out the back door, running down the lane with a bat and a glove for a pickup game. Red clay baking in the southern sun, cicadas in the trees sing a noisy hum. It's hot as hell for a baseball game, but we play it every day like a sweet refrain. The sound of the crack of a baseball bat, home plate is an old hubcap, that old ball you borrowed from a friend. And if you hit that ball a little too hard, you lose it in Mr. Skinner's yard, and you'll never see that ball again. Well, you weren't picked first, but you weren't picked last. Now you're an outfielder standing in the wild crab grass. Swing, batter, 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 swing, batter, swing. Trash talking, spitball, and hit that thing. A little white ball flying in the air. You stick out your glove and you say a prayer. Sound of the crack of a baseball bat, home plate is an old hubcap, that old ball you borrowed from a friend. And if you hit that ball a little too hard, you lose it in Mr. Skinner's yard, and you'll never see that ball again. Looking back, I do remember what might be my favorite days. And as I toss this ragged ball back across the fence, I say, play, boys, play, play ball. Sound of the crack of a baseball bat, home plate is an old hubcap, that old ball you borrowed from a friend. And if you hit that ball a little too hard, you lose it in Mr. Skinner's yard, and you'll never see that ball again. No, you'll never see that ball again.
Wow, that's a great one.
Thanks.
I really like that, and there's just so many images in there that I love that I remember, and I hope my son eventually gets to play baseball and enjoy it like that. But yeah. So
we'll get there. We'll get there
sooner or later. We have to.
Yeah, exactly.
So Doug produced that.
Doug Quartler, who he just did a marvelous job on this. I think. I mean, I didn't expect to be really putting out a record. Some of it was just basically to keep, both Esther and I were kind of feeding Doug songs, especially at the beginning of the pandemic, because it's just like, well, geez, we care about our friends. Let's see if we can keep things going a little bit. So that was one of the first songs I think I probably threw his way. And we just kept doing that, and eventually there was enough songs that kind of held together to kind of become this record. So, I really am this is really as much Doug's record as my record, I think, in a lot of ways. I wrote all the songs, but he's really brought them to life as you've just heard.
Right, so. And we're gonna hear more.
Yeah.
So where do you hail from?
I hail from originally very small little town in north central Pennsylvania, a town called Mansfield. There's a Mansfield in almost every state, I think, but it's about a population of 3,000 or so. But there is a small state college, now a university, I guess they call it. It's when I was growing up, it was Mansfield State College. So we did have some interesting people in town because the university would draw different faculty. So it was we had a little bit of diversity in our little north central town. And it was a great place to grow up. I mean, it's things like a lot of those images, that come from that song. I was thinking back to my days there, and a lot of songs from other records. The Butter Queen. I certainly drew heavily from my experience growing up in Mansfield.
Well, so. Maybe we'll hear that later.
Yeah,
too.
maybe.
What did you do to get out of Mansfield? Did you go to college elsewhere, and then?
I did, yeah. I went to college in Pittsburgh at Carnegie Mellon University as a theater major.
Really?
Yeah. I was that was my path as a kid, and it was pretty strong. I was very serious about it. We had a really great program in high school. And with the university there, I did some stuff at the university while I was still, a pretty young kid, and went off and did summer stuff. I actually worked with the faculty at Juilliard at Chautauqua, New York, one summer, and that was a really great experience. And actually, after that, went and auditioned at Juilliard. Didn't make it. But
but you can say you auditioned.
I did, yeah, and I got called back that day, so I did feel like I, was close. Good. But I'm really thankful that didn't happen. Trying to survive in New York at that age would have been really hard, especially coming from my little small town.
Right.
I can't imagine it. Pittsburgh was big enough of a change.
Yeah, I imagine New York was still very expensive then too. So.
Oh, I would have bet. Yeah, I would have bet.
But so you were a theater major and were in some shows. So what were your favorite roles?
Well, I wasn't in any roles in college because as a freshman, you're pretty much, at least at Carnegie Mellon, you're just doing class work, and you're kind of like the free help. So you're building sets and you're making costumes and all. So you don't really get to perform until your upper years at Carnegie Mellon, at least at that time. But in high school, I played Charlie Brown.
That's a great show.
In the sequel, actually, it was the sequel of Charlie Brown called Snoopy! We did stuff like Carousel and Guys and Dolls was one of my first, shows that I got to be in. I was like Harry the horse, who's like one of the chorus characters. But so it was a lot of fun.
That sounds fun. I didn't have a lot of experience with it except at summer camp, and I got to be the rabbi and fiddler on the roof. And I was the long song seller in Oliver.
Oh, wow. Now, what is it?
Yeah, exactly. What is that? It's a role that was in there, but basically what it is there's that one song, Who Will Buy My Sweet Red Roses?
Yeah.
And then at the end, 4 different people are part of this, this area, the flower market and whatever. And they say, who will buy, who will buy, who will buy, who will buy? I was like the baritone part of that. So
nice. And it had a title, actually had your character had a title, right?
Yeah, if I was actually
chorus number 3.
Right. If I was in a play in New York, I would have gotten $50 to do that probably. And
yeah, probably more than that even.
Yeah. But it was a singing role, so. But theater is a lot of fun. What kind of things did you do in school before you actually, like in your freshman year? How did you prepare? Like, what did they do for you, or with you?
As far
coursework, like what kinds of activities? Was it all books, or did you do like theater games and things like that?
Yeah, it was. It was pretty standard public school experience. Just I was involved with the band and chorus and theater. So we had all of that. We had pretty good arts program for that area. We had some really great people. The band instructor, Bill Beresford, was one of my favorite people in the world. So he was a big influence, I think, growing up. I played trombone.
Oh wow!
Yeah. But for sure, he really for a lot of people, I think he really brought a love of music and I think it helps round out your whole experience, and plus there's math and stuff in there too, so you're learning all sorts of stuff when you're learning music.
And so you didn't continue in theater at Carnegie Mellon? You did something else?
Well, I did a year and then just realized that to do it professionally I just did not have the personality for that. Much like I struggle with the performance side of the song stuff too. And so, I just didn't feel like I really fit in with a lot of the students who stayed. Many of my friends left after the first year. And so I kind of looked at that and thought, is this for me? So I kind of made the leap and jumped over to the psychology department. I did stay at Carnegie Mellon for the rest of my stint, which they allowed me to keep my scholarship, which was really wonderful.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm not sure that would happen today, but
probably not.
Yeah.
Or maybe. I mean, now they're talking about helping college students a little more. So we'll see. Yeah. We'll see how that goes. I'm still paying student loans, so
Yeah, exactly.
So you got into music probably at theater, right? Or did you do that later?
Well, I certainly, a lot of the stuff that we did were musicals. So, and I did play around a little bit with writing when I was in high school. I played piano in high school. I didn't pick up guitar until, I guess it was during college, but not really seriously until I moved to the Boston area. Did I really start focusing on guitar? So, I had written a few little awful songs as a teenager.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
You got to write it.
Were you poetry as well, or did you just songs?
I actually was novels. I was trying to write a novel. It was terrible. But
what was it about?
It turned out that it was like a ripoff of Stephen King, The Dead Zone.
Okay.
because I was a kid, so I was in school, and it was there's this evil teacher, right, who is trying to do something to the students, and you don't know exactly what at the beginning. And then the idea was he becomes a politician, and then the kids know what he's really like, and then, you know, they come to a head. But that, it didn't pan out. It just, because then I read The Dead Zone again. I saw The Dead Zone. I'm like, I'm just writing the same book, except badly. So,
but you know, sometimes that's what it takes, putting on somebody else's voice, or even to some extent copying, to then be able to kind of imprint that on yourself to start to. I mean, I feel like I've done that with songwriting in some respects. I'm sure the first few songs that I wrote were kind of these bluesy songs that were totally not me, really.
Yeah.
But I feel like they taught me a lot of stuff. So I would imagine if you had gone through and probably just in the amount that you did write,
right,
that really kind of did something to kind of further what you wound up doing.
Well, creativity, you get the juices flowing, and it can come out in many ways.
Yeah, exactly.
I know a lot of people who do visual art and music, and they do them together, and they write, and they, you know, if you're creative, you take whatever path works.
Right.
And sometimes, you know, a poem can't be a song, and sometimes lyrics can't be a poem, you know? So you have to figure out what it is, and then you make it that.
Right.
Because it's about communication.
Indeed.
And you communicated pretty well in some of these songs. I think that, you know, they really are great. The one, what's the second one called on the album?
Trade It All for Love.
Trade It All for Love. So what's that about?
That probably, right at the moment, that may be one of the more, true to spirit songs for me. I've always struggled with, what to do with my life, especially after jumping off that path of not being an actor. So I've kind of just wandered through things, and so I've wandered into a job that I'm good at, but it's not something that I really love to do. So I'm very grateful to have it. I'll say that, especially during this period of time, because I know many people haven't been able to work. But I still always kind of see myself as the artist, and so this is just a day job that allows me to do all of these other things. Which again, I'm old enough now where I'm grateful for that. I think going through it, and there were times when it was just like, what the hell am I doing? I'm not, this is not who I am, and that sort of thing. Which this song kind of speaks to that. So.
Well, would you like to play it live, or would you like to? Okay.
This one I could play you live.
All right. So this is Trade It All for Love.
Let's see how we are here. I'm gonna take these headphones off here.
All right.
Take the train to the city in the morning. All the men in their suits are swarming. Busy little bees, busy little bees. I don't know, but I believe I'm in the wrong place at the wrong time. Living the dream, but it ain't mine. Go and fetch the stick, go and fetch the stick. Howling at the moon 'cause his collar don't fit. This job ain't me and I ain't my job. Every hour spent is an hour robbed. Well, I'm 50 years old, but when I grow up, I'll trade it all for love. Trade it all for love.
Spend my days chasing after dollars, on the phone, racking up the hours, ticking of the clock, ticking of the clock. Time to buy or sell the stock. I'm just another cog in the corporate wheel, rooting around for another deal. Piggies at the trough, piggies at the trough. Grime and mud will never wash off. This job ain't me and I ain't my job. Every hour spent is an hour robbed. Well, I'm 50 years old, but when I grow up, I'll trade it all for love, trade it all for love. There's a secret song playing in my heart. It's a song of dreams, it's a song of art. Someday soon I will leave this place, say goodbye to the man, say goodbye rat race. This job ain't me and I ain't my job. Every hour spent is an hour robbed. Well, I'm 50 years old, but when I grow up, I'll trade it all for love, trade it all for love. Na 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 na. Trade it all for love, 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 love. Trade it all for love. La 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 love, trade it all for love. Na 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 na, trade it all for love.
That was great.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's a sentiment many people have.
Yeah, I suspect that's true.
I mean, that's the path I've kind of ended up taking too, is, my degrees are education. Mm-hmm. And I use it and I teach still, but that's not my love. My love is doing like One Broadway collaborative and running a venue and being with musicians all day and trying to make music myself and do all that stuff. That's what's important to me.
Yeah. You're actually living my dream, I think, Aaron, or at least trying to manifest my dream.
Well, I could use a partner if you...
I have no money.
Okay. You don't need money.
But seriously, I mean, a lot of the things that you're doing here, building community around, art and music and that sort of thing, that's been, my dream kind of also incorporates my love of beer making. So, I could kind of see it based around a little brewery as well. But
well, maybe you should start a brewery next door to me. And
is there space? Is there?
There is.
Oh, okay.
There is. Right. Start a brewery. I'll show you after the show.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. This could be dangerous.
It could be.
It's life-changing. A life-changing podcast.
It could be. If I change your life because of this podcast, then that's my life's work, I think. Right. But I love what you write about, because what you write about is like things I'm like, oh yeah, I should have written that. That totally makes sense. It's good. Ordinary things that you think and you're like frustrated, but you actually said it. It came out and it came out well, and I'm impressed with that.
Thank you.
And what do you do to write? Are you typically just sitting in a room thinking, or is it just occurring to you in the car? How does it start?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and it's never really the same. A lot of times I have to impose deadlines. So, like, being part of songwriting groups has really helped. To have okay, I've got to have a song, for this group. So there's been that. Some of the stuff is inspired, things that I want to write about. Certainly some of the songs about family and stuff, they're things that I've been thinking about for years and, eventually have found their way to song. Some of them are just based on song prompts.
Right.
Like this, Traded All for Love actually came from, at the beginning of this year, Peter Mulvey
oh, wow.
was doing this
He's
kind
great.
of... he's a wonderful. And he's doing some really neat stuff through the pandemic, through the Patreon site.
Right.
You're familiar with Patreon?
Right.
But he basically is leading a songwriter group through this whole year, putting out a prompt to write a song a week, which I was doing pretty faithfully for about, 3-4 months. And the Traded All for Love song was the first one. I think the prompt had something to do with work. Mm-hmm. I think it's I just work here, I think was the prompt.
Oh, that's
so yeah. There's been some nice stuff that have come from that, and I've had success with prompts in the past too. I don't do that a lot, but it's been kind of an interesting way to kind of get into a song. So.
Well, I mean, I used to do that for songwriters in the round, but I stopped doing it because it seemed like a big demand on people.
It can be.
And I didn't want to...
Especially if you don't, if you're not comfortable writing that way, which I'm not, honestly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I've gotten some of my best stuff out of it, too, though. It does help. Because it makes you think really hard about how to make that prompt fit.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily make it fit, but it makes you think enough that you come up with something.
Usually, yeah.
And that's the key. And, you came up with Traded All for Love. That's not really what he said.
Right, exactly.
I just work
here.
Yeah,
it is a very interesting process from, what's the seed and then, where does it go to? And for me, that's really the fun, I think, of songwriting is just kind of following the path. Because I usually don't know what I'm writing about. Particularly even without a prompt, most of my songs come from something that's happening with the guitar. Mm-hmm. I've found some sort of a riff or a chord progression or something that I like, and then from that it's kind of like, well, what is this? What story does this sound like? Mm-hmm. And a lot of times I'll just have nonsense kind of finding the melody that goes with that. There still usually isn't words. But then, a phrase or a couple of words or something will pop out from that. And that's usually, once I'm there, I can usually kind of, find my way through a song. And especially if I can get through a first verse,
right.
Usually I know I'm well on my way to something.
Yeah, see, I have the same issue. I write different ways. But the difference is either I get a song prompt that's forced or something just occurs to me that is the song prompt.
Right.
And that's usually what it takes. It's usually a spark. And so, I've gotten lots of different ones. One that I got that was a forced one was about, it was called The Devil Went Down to Lowell. That was the song prompt, because we would ask the audience for song prompts, and somebody suggested that, and that's what got voted on. So I had to come up with The Devil Went Down to Lowell, but I hated that. That was a terrible prompt. I didn't want to do that. So I kept thinking of all these different things, like the devil is a cat, and it's a story about the cat running around Lowell, and I thought of all these different ideas, and finally it occurred to me, oh yeah, this is drugs. Because that's what the devil is in a lot of towns, is the scourge of drugs and the fact that people can't get off them. And so, and I know people like that, so it became about that.
Yeah.
And I think it's great when you can get to that process, but it's really hard, and it takes a lot of concentration
and time, and just sitting with going through all of the stuff that you think sucks,
Mm-hmm.
Because you had to go through that thinking about a cat before you got to
right,
the thing that's really the meat of what you're
And see, I'm not a fan of cats, so that's why cats and the devil are equated with me. But
Yeah, understand. Totally understand that.
But that's no offense to the cat lovers.
Yeah,
I just
suppose they're
not a fan.
I'm not a fan either. I'm allergic. Quite allergic, so that's one big strike.
That's interesting. That's the exact reason that I hate cats is not because I'm allergic, but my dad was allergic, so that was never an option in my house. We could never have cats. My sister went the other way and got cats on purpose, so because she could never have them. And but dogs are better, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so too. Although I'm not going to say too much about dogs because my Esther has been just dying to get a dog for many years. I know. Yeah, so let's move away from this topic.
Okay, good. So you don't have any dog songs,
no,
I take it.
I don't have any dog. Do I have any dog songs? I don't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't.
Well, what do you have that isn't from the album you could play?
Oh, geez.
Is there something older that you might want to try?
Let's try this. Do you mind if I go into a different tuning here?
I don't mind.
All right. Maybe you've got something you want to say.
Yeah, I could talk a little bit. So I wanted to let everybody know that One Broadway Collaborative is a nonprofit organization, and we are supported largely by donations. And we did get a grant recently that's going to allow us to do a lot of building, but it's just for the building. So we still need money for operating expenses and things like that. So if you're interested, you can check out our website. There's a donate button, and you can do that there, and you can actually make a regular donation monthly or whatever you want to do. It would be much appreciated because we could use the support. And let me tell you about some of the things going on coming up. This is going to come out tomorrow, which is Tuesday, October 12th. And this weekend, we do have songwriters in the round, which is going to be with Doug Farrell, Carl Beverly, and Eunice Ziegler. So they're all fantastic. Eunice Ziegler is actually a Methuen City Councilwoman who is also a great R&B singer and plays with her husband who plays guitar. And Carl Beverly has a lot of great story songs, and Doug Farrell is amazing, his guitar work and everything, and he's a carpenter who actually built the office door for One Broadway Collaborative. So he came in and he made sure that the office door worked well, and I really am grateful to him for that. And there's lots of stuff going on. You can check onebroadway.org, that's onebroadway.org, in order to find out more information. And we constantly are adding things to it. Also, there's a press page now because we've had a little bit of press where there's a story about beginning One Broadway Collaborative, and it's a little about how I started it. And you should check it out. It's a lot going on here. We also do have a bunch of bands on Saturday night, which is October 16th. We have Kevin Queen and his band Bobbing for Apples, which is appropriate for Halloween because Halloween parties, Bobbing for Apples. And I think he is having people come in costume. So if you want to do that a little early, you could. He's also going to be with the Faith Ann Band and a couple of others. And you should check it out. It's going to be a really fun night. It's going to be at One Broadway in Lawrence, Massachusetts. It's a red brick building. You can park in the Cap Auto Parts parking lot. And you can also come in the red wooden door. But we have a lot of plans for how we're going to improve the space. And we'll be keeping you updated on the website and on the podcast and all the other places where we can spread the information. And now I think Chris is ready to go. So I've talked enough. Chris, what are you going to play for us?
This is an older song. It's off the Big Fat Love record. And we were talking about song prompts. This came from a song prompt. The title of the song is Throwing Good Love After Bad. And that was the prompt. And it came from an audience selected prompt too, which oftentimes you don't get a good audience selected prompt. Do you know Tom Smith?
Yes.
Yeah, Tom has the greatest audience prompt song. His prompt was "Lick My Face."
Oh, I love that.
It turned out to be one of his big hits.
I love that song. It's absolutely right.
I love that song too.
Yeah.
So this is a song that came from a song prompt, and I want to try to play it because it seems like every time I've played this, I've forgotten the words somewhere in between. I'm starting to get to the age where that's becoming a really serious kind of thing. So I'm really flirting with disaster, but I do want to try to.
All right, give it a shot.
Try it. So
that's what's exciting about live podcasting, except that we're not actually live. But yeah.
So if I do mess this up, I do apologize, but hopefully we'll get most of the way through it. Another night, another bar stool, another man, another bed, another empty, vacant morning, another hurt that goes unsaid. It echoes through her heart and shakes her to her bones. The thought of all the things that never had. But she ain't getting younger, and the yearning never ends. She keeps on throwing good love after bad. Another day, another dollar, another cup, another plate, another nearly empty tip jar, another shift that goes so late. She could have been a dancer, but her dreams have all gone dry. And sometimes late at night, it drives her mad. She's filling empty spaces with most any man she can. She keeps on throwing good love after bad. Well, I've been her shoulder, and once or twice I've paid her debts. I guess I could love her if she weren't such a wreck. Another trucker, another wink of her eye, another slice of cherry pie, another ache as I watch her flirting, another predictable goodbye. The days turn into years as I stand behind this grill, and sure as the sun's gonna rise, she'll clock in sad. Well, I could take her hand, be the better man, but I'd be throwing good love
after bad.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Thanks.
So I pictured a few things during that song. I pictured the TV show Alice with
wow,
Flo.
That's a throwback.
Yeah, with Flo, Flo Kiss My Grits. And
Yeah.
I was picturing that because it was always about, they would fall in love and they would, but, it'd be the wrong one and that whole story.
Maybe that's where it comes from. Because that was a part of my growing up was all of those sitcoms.
Yeah, I think we're about the same age.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
And that was, I loved that show.
Yeah.
I've watched it.
I forgot about it completely.
Don't watch it again.
Okay.
Because it will ruin your memory.
Well, I've gone back. Of course, this is a classic, but I've started going back and watching All in the Family. And oh my God, what a great show
it was. That one holds up.
Yeah.
But you watch MASH, and I cringe.
It's true.
I loved MASH.
Loved MASH.
Everybody did. And but when you watch it now, it's like they're making all these inappropriate jokes that really do not play
land well
anymore.
Yeah, at least with All in the Family, he's got all of these awful comments, but you've always have the kids who are saying, well, that's absolutely wrong.
Right, you got the foil, and
yeah, exactly. But with MASH, you're right. I started watching that again too, and I had the very same reaction.
You know what I loved, actually? This has nothing to do with music, but
everything has something.
Archie Bunker's Place, which was a spin-off after All in the Family, where Archie, he sort of learned how to be a human being. And that resonated with me because I liked Archie. You liked Archie in the show.
Of course, yeah.
But he was so awful to everybody. But he learned things. And in this show, it really made his character, human. And it wasn't a popular show particularly. But
I don't even remember it.
Well, they ended up adopting a Jewish girl. And he ended up opening a bar. And he opened the bar. Edith is gone.
Okay.
And he opens the bar, and he has this little girl, and he's responsible for her. And it really was, it changed the character in a very positive way for me. I really liked it. And, it wasn't the best show, and it was the same, sitcom lines and the same formulas, but... Yeah. It was good. It was sort of like an attempt to be like Hawkeye Pierce and MASH during the serious episodes.
Right.
But that whole idea of, the humanness of interactions and good love after bad, all that stuff is really, it just really makes you think about life in ways that you expect music to move you. And so it's great. And I was wondering, though, it seems like that's like almost a country song. Almost,
yeah.
And
yeah,
I really liked that. I mean, I was influenced for a while by some of the better country songs. And I didn't grow up that way. Country was like not something people in my group would listen to. It was always...
Me neither. Even though I grew up in very rural, Pennsylvania, country was not cool.
Right. It was rock. Everybody listened to rock, and guitars had to be electric. And But, then some of the country stuff that came out around like the late 80s, early 90s is really great songwriting, some of it, particularly Garth Brooks. I mean, that's what it reminds me of. He's really telling stories.
Yeah, and that's what I'm really attracted to, I think, are a good story.
Right.
So I try to do that.
Yeah, and Elton John does that too with rock.
It's true, he does. Yeah,
but and my favorite, Harry Chapin. That's
yes,
because he's clearly making an attempt to tell a story, like in his songs. It's not the same as, like, yours is more subtle.
Well, thank you.
You're telling the story, but there's a theme. There's good love after bad. I really love that. So that's from Big Fat Love, which is already available, right?
Yes, that's been available for quite some time. That's on all the streamy things,
right?
And but if you'd like a hard copy, I still have plenty of those in my basement too.
Okay, well there you have it. So everybody go to Chris's house,
or to my website, chrislavanchermusic.com.
Oh, it's more fun to go to your house, though.
It is more fun. You're welcome. You're welcome to stop by. Even in time of COVID, as long as you're vaccinated. Proof of vaccination.
Proof of vaccination to go into Chris's basement. That's a new one. But that was great. So when you come up with songs, how do you try them out? Like, who do you try them out on Esther?
Yeah, for sure. Esther's probably she's always the first one to hear it. And then we've got a close circle of friends who get together and we trade songs off and give each other really, it's a great group because we're very supportive and also very honest with each other. So that's been really, really great. And Doug Quartler's part of that group as well. So that's kind of how we got connected with Doug to do recording.
Well, Susan
is also
with Doug. So I imagine that she's in that group.
Yep, for sure.
They were on the podcast a while ago, so we'll maybe they'll come back. We'll talk to them again. Maybe separately would be good.
Well, that's what Esther and I are doing.
Yeah.
Mainly because Esther's just got so much stuff. That woman has project after project after project. She'll have no problem.
She's prolific.
She's got a lot going on.
Yeah. Well, and I'm trying to get her to come in here and do something again. So we'll see if that happens in January or so.
Oh, good.
So what's your favorite song from the album? Did you already play it, or is there one that you really liked?
Well, the one that Trade It All for Love definitely. That runs around in my head a lot. And I'm told some other people have said the same thing. So I apologize for the other people having it run around their head a lot. But it's hard to pick a favorite. They're kind of like it's everybody says it, but they're like my children.
They are. So the Lady on the High Wire. We didn't play that yet.
No, we didn't play that.
Would you like to play that one from the album or live?
Oh, if we're going to do that one, let's play it from the album.
Okay.
And let's talk about Doug Quartler a little bit because he's, he, especially in a song like this, I'm not even sure this song would necessarily work just as a solo guitar. At least now, after I've heard it. So yeah, Doug really brought a lot of really great stuff to these songs, and everything except for the guitar and vocal that you hear is Doug on this album, except for one harmony vocal on one of the songs, which is Esther. But everything else is Doug's magic. So
all right,
and that's why I really feel like it's like both of our album.
Well, I recorded with Doug as well, and if anybody is interested in recording with Doug, he's at Hollow Body Studios, and you can look that up on the internet. I don't think there's another one.
I don't think so.
Not that I've seen.
No.
But Hollow Body Studios, and they're in Chelmsford, Massachusetts, and Doug is great to record with. He does it in a house, so it's laid back.
Yep.
And it's like in a living room, really, and
although I didn't get that experience really. There were two songs that I did in Doug's studio, and the rest I did at home and sent them to Doug. Yeah, so pandemic,
They sounded good though. Did he do his mobile recording thing?
He did not with me. He does do that.
Right.
I know that there's some great records that have just come out. Aaron
Ash Sullivan.
Yes. Her record's great, and I think a lot of it was done that way. was through her window. Doug was outside, and
I saw the pictures. Yeah,
kind of cool. But no, I set up microphones and did my own, and then sent them to him. So,
all right. Well, let's do "Lady on the High Wire." So I'm going to play that from the album, and this is the album called
"After the Flood."
There we go.
Walks on a wire, way up in the air, with no safety net, no room for misstep. She's the lady on the high wire. She dresses the kids and takes them to school. Her husband's a lawyer, expects her to follow the rules on the high wire. The cut of the cable she feels on her feet, the beam of the spotlight, her pounding heartbeat. She's the lady on the high wire. As she walks down the avenue in her high-heeled shoes, she tries to ignore random men proposition rendezvous on the high wire. Everyone's watching, waiting for her to fall. She takes a deep breath and clutches to her parasol. And the wire's getting thinner and thinner, longer each day. And there's no deviation from the path that's been put in her way. The elephants, the roar of the crowd. She pulls off a somersault as they gasp out loud. She's the lady on the high wire. And the matrons who lunch at the club on the green smile plastic smiles and whisper cruel things of the lady on the high wire. There's no one to talk to except for these clowns who keep spinning in place. And then they fall down, they know nothing of balance, or poise, or grace. They wear too much rouge and laugh in the face of the lady on the high wire. Like a bird on a wire, she smiles down at the sideshow choir and the ringmaster she'll never please as she makes her escape on the flying trapeze.
Wow, that was great.
How about that?
Was that Doug at the end doing the...
Totally Doug.
With a little voice modulation.
Lady on the high wire.
I like that.
I do too. When I first heard that, it was just like, oh, I laughed. I was on the floor.
Yeah, but what I also like is your imagery because, you remind me that putting something like the line of the smell of the elephants is something, you don't think of putting in a song all the time, but, adding other senses really it evokes the image. And so like as soon as you said smell of the elephants, I can picture it. I mean, it's a circus and it's a tent and the elephant smell, is in the air and the clowns are obnoxious and just shut up already. And, but is that about anybody in particular?
It's probably a little bit about Melania Trump.
Oh, really?
A little bit, that kind of like person who is, it's only vaguely that. I mean, you could say any sort of person who's been relegated to trophy wife. So, for this moment in time, Melania kind of comes to mind, but
right.
But yeah, it's that, there's got to be there's another person here that we don't get to see, and it's got to be an awful experience.
Well, and it seems like, for her sake, it's good that she's sort of out of the public eye for the most part.
I would think.
Because you haven't heard, the press doesn't cover her now.
No.
And thank God.
Yeah.
Because they shouldn't have been to begin with. Because, they were putting her in a position, like I was thinking about that time when she quoted Michelle Obama's speech at the beginning, and everybody was like, oh, she's misrepresenting herself. She's an immigrant from Slovenia?
Yeah.
And she doesn't belong where she ended up in terms of her responsibilities. I mean, those are not responsibilities that are fair to ask of somebody who really didn't sign on for it.
Agreed. Although it's questionable to, you do to some extent sign on. But
to a point. But, signing on to become First Lady is a bit...
Right. Yeah.
That wasn't what she signed on for.
Right, for sure. And I bet you, Michelle Obama could probably say the same. She probably wasn't really excited to be thrust into, that much attention.
But she's still in the public eye because she's great.
Yeah, she sure is.
And, she's got her book out, Becoming, which is great. And, so anyway, we don't have to talk about that, but the song was great, and I can see Melania Trump as being the example you're holding up there, and that's great. And the chords, they're so odd.
Yeah, well, that's kind of that off balance circusy thing, and trying to walk that line. That was kind of the intention with that. So
right, like
I hope it worked.
Was that pump organ with Doug?
I think it may have been.
Yeah.
It's either that or he can manufacture a lot of sounds on the keyboard. Yeah. I think the tuba is actually a keyboard.
Well, he does have a pump organ though, so that's why I was thinking that might have actually been a pump organ he was using for that, because it's perfect.
Could very well be. Yeah. Doug, if you're out there, call in.
Yeah, he's not.
Yeah, I know.
But he'll listen later. And then he'll send us text messages. Why'd you keep talking about me?
Yeah, exactly.
But that was great as well. The way that the chords sort of fit into the song. Was that because you came up with the chords and you suddenly thought high wire? Was that how that came to be?
Well, again, I think, that did start with that little, I think it was probably a mistake, playing, it's basically a G chord. Of course, I'm in open D, so I can't reproduce it right off, right at the bat. But I think I've laid my fingers down wrong playing a G chord, and that first kind of dissonant G was there. And so I just kind of played around with that a little bit, and, it's like, oh, wow, this sounds kind of circusy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's how it starts.
Right, and it really does work. I like that. So, what have you got coming up besides the big, opening of the CD?
Show. There is a show on. It's the first Saturday of November. I don't know the exact date, but it's at Somerville, the Somerville Songwriters Sessions, which is held at the Armory in Somerville.
Is that with Beth DeSambri?
Beth is one of the hosts. Actually, was invited by Terry Kitchen, who's going to host that night, and we're going to be playing with Amy Kacharek.
Okay, great.
So great ukulele player, as well as guitar player and fabulous singer.
Yeah, she's
I'm excited about it.
She's been to one of the songwriters things that I hosted.
Has she?
Yeah,
okay.
She's great.
Yeah, I don't know her well, but yeah, I've been looking forward to seeing more of her. I saw her with a friend, Dan Bowling, who's from New Mexico, was touring through and played a show with her and the great Martin Swinger, who just recently passed away, unfortunately. But that was a great show.
So, who are your influences primarily?
Wow. Well, I mean, growing up, I didn't have a lot of music growing up, honestly, other than like show tunes, and Billy Joel was a huge influence. But yeah, it wasn't really until college where I was exposed to more of the singer-songwriter stuff that started to influence me. And, of course, folks like James Taylor, are huge. But then I started to hear on folk radio in Pittsburgh, which is WYEP. They had a couple of folk shows. It wasn't completely a folk radio channel, but John Gorka and Pierce Pettis and all those guys. But yeah. And more recently, folks like Daryl Scott is huge. I can't play even close to how Daryl Scott plays, but I just love his stuff, and John Moreland, and it's.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure who I'd compare you to. I mean, you do have a distinct style, I think.
Oh.
That sounds good, but I can't think directly of a line. There's certainly bits of influence, but...
yeah, well, maybe I haven't found my voice yet. I'm still searching.
I don't know. Sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, okay.
But, so what do you do at your work? You're a therapist?
No, I'm an IT guy. Esther's the therapist.
I thought you did psychology, so that...
Well... Yeah, we'll go back to the story. I switched to psychology, but being at Carnegie Mellon, staying there, it was very research oriented. So I did like lab stuff, and then wound up staying in Pittsburgh and working at McLean, or not McLean High. Eventually worked at McLean here, University of Pittsburgh, in their hospital system, and did research with. Schizophrenic patients and family members of schizophrenic patients, and through that work, I did a lot of statistics and database stuff, and so that's how I kind of moved my way into doing more computing and that sort of thing. And I've always worked either in academia or nonprofit world, so I don't have any formal training in IT stuff, but I've managed to make a living of it through the nonprofit world, where it's kind of like, well, if you can do this one thing, you must be able to do all of the things.
So then you figure it out.
So then I figure it out, or I've got resources that I can pull in.
Yeah, that's a common story.
Yeah.
Especially like I've heard teachers, in education, the teacher who actually knows how to use the computer the best is the one who becomes the computer teacher.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which shouldn't be the case, because there's plenty of people who are trained for that.
Right. Yeah.
I've heard of that.
Then you have to pay them well. So.
Right. Exactly. It costs more. So. But so you do, like, what do you do in IT specifically? Do you have a particular area you focus on?
I mean, the thing that I feel most comfortable with is database stuff. But, you know, I am basically the IT department at where I work. So it's a little bit of everything. I do everything from, like, clearing paper jams to, you know, bringing in new systems for, you know, housing the data. We're just in the midst of this big Salesforce implementation. So.
Well, by the way, I have a server farm that needs some work. You don't mind it?
All right. Yeah. We'll take
just
a look.
kidding.
We'll take a look at that before we go.
Yeah, I think that, that makes sense. I mean, if you're doing research, I mean, IT stuff, what's beautiful about it is there's a solution.
Yeah.
Right? There's always a solution.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's not messy like, you know, art.
Right. There's not always a solution in art. Sometimes it's just a dead end.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
With IT, there's almost always, I can't think of a case where there isn't some solution somebody could figure out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Which there's some comfort in that, I suppose, if you're the kind of person who needs that.
Yeah.
Which I probably am.
I think we all have an attraction to it, whether we need it or not, I don't know.
But maybe that's it.
But it's nice when things are tied up in a neat package. And
yeah, I mean, I'm fairly and I think that's why, you know, probably it's a good thing that I didn't continue on in the acting path, because that uncertainty of living, I don't think I could have really, I don't know, maybe you can learn to adjust to that, but I think you've got to have a certain chemistry about you to be able to live in that all the time, that uncertainty of, you know, where your next job is going to come from.
Sort of like being a musician full time.
Yeah, and that's why I'm not that either.
But you play one on TV.
I play one on TV, sort of.
Yeah. So your album's coming out, and then what's your plan? Are you have a bunch of songs ready to go for another one, or are you just waiting for a while?
I don't. You know, again, this was unexpected, so the next one will be kind of unexpected too.
Right.
But yeah, no big plans after this one. That's just kind of living in the moment and getting this one out in the world and see how it does. So
you have a couple of shows coming up in November, but how often do you usually play?
Not that often. I mean, playing once or twice a month is probably a lot for me. Again, I don't really seek out the performance side of it all that much. You know, someday I'd like that to change, maybe. I kind of, you know, another dream I have along with opening up the little brewery is seeing what being a touring musician is like. And I could see maybe, you know, after retirement, you know, maybe checking that out, getting a van and, you know, touring around and living that life for
that seems to be a
bit.
Thing lately. Yeah.
Exactly. So.
Yeah, I mean, I did the cross-country drive a few times where we'd stop on the way and go to different sites across the United States, and that's really great. I wasn't doing it as a musician, I was just doing it.
Yeah.
But, you know, there is an appeal to that, the open road. And
it's one of Esther and I's favorite things. I mean, we do a lot of road trips. You know, I can't even remember the last time we flew anywhere. But we've done a lot of like southern road trips and we hit all the big music towns. You know, make sure we get to New Orleans and Memphis and Nashville and Asheville, North Carolina, and you know,
Austin, Texas.
We've been to Austin. That's a little further than we've ventured in the car, but we have been to Austin by way of airplane. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, but that's a lot of fun, I think, to travel like that.
I love it.
Unfortunately, I haven't been able to do it for quite a few years because with a child, it's more difficult.
Yeah.
But, you know, the most we do is go to Syracuse, really. So
Grandparents?
Yeah. My parents are there, so we do the family thing in Syracuse.
Okay.
And then I used to have a lot of relatives in L.A., and I wouldn't see them that often
Yeah.
because you can't really drive to L.A.
You could. It's tough.
Well, I did, but it was a long drive, and parts of the West, it's painful going across because it's beautiful, but for 10 hours, it slowly becomes less beautiful and more, let's get there already.
Let's get there. Yeah. And it's a lot of up and down. So
right.
What looks like a short bit on the map turns out to be twice as long because you've gone up and you've gone down and you've gone up and down.
Right. And do you have any traveling songs that you did?
Oh, geez. I do have a traveling song, but it's been so long since I played it, I would be a little frightened to try.
All right, let's not do
whip it out.
Well, what would you like to do?
Let's see. Well, I'm already in this tuning, so I might as well let's play this song. This is sort of a traveling song, I suppose. It's a stretch. It's about a woman in Acapulco taking a trip to Acapulco. It's called Acapulco.
All right.
She likes the feel of the sand on her feet, silver moon lighting the beach, umbrella drink sweating in her hand, salt in the air she can taste on her lips, mariachi band sneaks into her hips as she sways alone on the Mexican coast. Starlight, moon bright, so fine in Acapulco. Last chance to dance here in Acapulco. It's time for her to go back home, but tonight she's gonna dance. She contemplates her life in Minnesota. Kids are grown and he's not gonna change, no matter how hard she tries to change him. They've been together for 23 years. All that time she's worked cosmetics at Sears. Now she's on her own on the Mexican coast. Starlight, moon bright, so fine in Acapulco. Last chance to dance here in Acapulco. It's time for her to go back home, but tonight she's gonna dance. Plays as she sashays around, spinning faster, the hem of her gown flares up, just like Marilyn Monroe. All the men and some women too shift their positions to better their view as she moves carefree on the Mexican coast. Starlight, moon bright, so fine in Acapulco. Last chance to dance here in Acapulco. It's time for her to go back home, but tonight she's gonna dance. It's time for her to go back home, but tonight she's gonna dance. Do 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 do.
Nice.
Acapulco.
Yeah.
Never been.
Me either.
Yeah. I'd like to go.
Yeah.
I think.
I don't know. I always hear about it.
Yeah.
And you know why? The Love Boat.
The Love Boat. Yeah.
Right. They always go to Acapulco on the Love Boat in a lot of those episodes.
Well, I guess all those cruise ships do kind of go to the same destination, so...
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the guy who wound up being a politician? What was the... Gopher? Was that his
Gopher,
character?
yeah. Fred Grandy, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was good. Anyway.
Was he good?
Well, he was likable.
He was likable, yes.
He was.
Yes, and he cashed in on that, I guess.
Him and the doctor.
Yeah.
They were likable.
Yeah.
But, so where have you been, in Europe? Have you ever done a European?
I have never been. The only time out of the United States was when I was a kid. We went through Canada to, go out west. We kind of did up through Canada a little bit. So I have never been out of the United States, really. I don't have a passport.
Yeah, I need to get one. They're expensive now.
Are they?
Costs a lot of money. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I would love to travel. Esther and I talked about doing our honeymoon in Ireland. We both really want to go to Ireland, but just have not made that manifest yet. So.
Well, I've actually been there once.
Have you?
I did a Great Britain trip. So we, England, Scotland, Ireland.
Yeah.
Which is good. So yeah, you should do it.
Yeah.
You got any Irish themed songs?
I don't, but I do a lot of songs in Dadgad, which kind of has that Irishy sound to it,
Well, let's do one more song.
One more song?
Yeah.
All right. Well, since we're close to Dadgad, let's just do this.
And while you're tuning, I'm here with Chris LaVancher at One Broadway in Lawrence, Massachusetts, One Broadway Collaborative. And if you want to come to any of the shows here, you can check out what we've got going on at onebroadway.org, onebroadway.org. And we have a lot of stuff coming up in the next week. We have October 15th, Songwriters in the Round with Doug Farrell, Carl Beverly, and Eunice Ziegler. And we also have the Faith Ann Band, Bobbing for Apples, and a bunch of other bands going to be here doing kind of a Halloweenish kind of party. And on the 30th of October, we do have a Halloween party at One Broadway Collaborative. So we are going to be doing the full thing, costumes, decorations, strobe light, maybe a fog machine if I figure out whether carpets will soak up that smell. I don't know if I want that, but we'll see. I'd love a fog machine. We have one. It's an issue it's an issue of whether it's a good idea or not.
Well, you got to try it.
Yeah, it's the smell could stick though, so we got to be a little careful there. Unless I want some carpet cleaning bills, but. If you're interested in coming to that, that's going to be on the 30th of October. Keep an eye out on the website. Also, this is a suggestion that everybody sign up for the mailing list.
Yeah.
OneBroadway.org has a mailing list. You can click on it. It says email list at the top in the menu, and you can click on that. You sign up for the email list. All we need is your first name and your email, although I'd prefer more information, just so I know who you are, but we don't have to. If you just want to get the information, just put in your email and we'll get it to you. So what are you going to play for us, Chris?
This is the last song off the album. It's called We Are Stars, and was inspired by the passing of Stephen Hawking, great astrophysicist. I guess that's what he was. Is that right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Some kind of physicist.
He looked at stars, thought about a lot of things. That guy was a thinker.
He was.
So this kind of started from thinking about Stephen Hawking. So,
okay.
I just wanted to say thank you for, this is a wonderful, wonderful place and idea, and everybody should really kind of check this out and get yourself to One Broadway, because there's some really cool stuff going on here, and it's Aaron brings such a wonderful vibe to it, and just very happy that you're doing this. So.
All right. Well, I appreciate that, Chris, and I really enjoyed having you come and play here, and I know you'll be here again. And by the way, anybody who wants to come with very few strings attached, just show up on Sunday 2 to 5. You can play or just listen. It's an open mic, 2 to 5 p.m. on Sundays. And another good time to come would be the Halloween party, because you can dress up in costume and I won't even know who you are. So just come October 30th or come any Sunday 2 to 5 p.m. and park at the Cap parking lot right next door. And the red wooden staircase is what you go up to get here. So
it's easy. It's very easy.
Yeah, it's a big red brick mill building.
Yeah.
It's really awesome looking.
It is.
It really stands out. So come join us, and let's hear Chris's song, We Are Stars.
All right. So We Are Stars in Dadgad, which is where we kind of got to this because of the Irish, lots of music done in Dadgad tuning. This is called We Are Stars. Stars, we are made of cosmic dust. From an explosion we were thrust into the universe. We are stars, we are a billion twinkling lights, the counter to the nights and endless darkness. And let your starlight shine. Join your light with mine, 'cause we are stars. We are a universe, inside each and every one. Atomic galaxies are spun into infinity. We are a universe. We go on and on and on, further in until we've gone and reached the heavens. And let your starlight shine. Join your light with mine, 'cause we are stars. I feel my feet upon the ground. I take a breath and hear the sound of sacred music in my heartbeat. And we are God, and we are playing hide and seek, for we only get a peek from one perspective. And we are God. We are insignificant, all at once magnificent and full of grace. And let your starlight shine. Join your light with mine, 'cause we are stars. We are stars. We are stars.
So thank you, Chris. That was awesome.
It was my pleasure.
So I did have one more question for you, which is, I always like to end on this one, as I told you. I like you to give advice to people who want to kind of get into music and do what you're doing, singer-songwriter or whatever strikes your fancy. What advice do you have for people?
I suppose for somebody who's just getting into it, be willing to sound awful at first, because you're going to, and it's just have the courage to just play, and it really doesn't matter in the beginnings what you sound like, as long as you're showing up and doing it. And even with writing, it's showing up is the biggest and sometimes hardest part. So I guess that's what I would suggest.
All right.
Show up.
Showing up is very good advice. So we're coming to you from One Broadway in Lawrence, Massachusetts, and you can check out our website, onebroadway.org, onebroadway.org, and there's lots of information there. Please sign up for our mailing list. Please donate if you have the means. And we also have a lot of information about the shows coming up and other events we're doing. And by the way, we also have rehearsal and event space. So if you wanted to use One Broadway for rehearsal and event space, we have reasonable rates. And you can call for more information at 978-258-2009 and talk to me, and we'll work something out. So all of that is available here at One Broadway Collaborative. And that's about it for this time. And this has been great, Chris. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Aaron.